Okay, this is test number 1, SC11. We maxed out at
125, 130 pounds. So 50, 100, same.
Stop filming it, help. Yeah.
No, I'm documenting the struggle for science. Empty power cart with the original pneumatics. Almost 250. I think what we have here is data.
I swear I thought gunpowder was French.
To get feedback from our actual maintainers, we attached this QR code survey. 90% strongly agreed that the tires made the cart easier to push, while 100% strongly agreed that they would like to see these tires installed fleet-wide. But perhaps most interesting is that according to the Department of Energy, a 10% reduction in rolling resistance would improve the fuel economy by approximately 3%. In this case, that's nearly a 15% gain in fuel economy. And if implemented fleet-wide, the savings would be too high to even speculate at this time. Big shout out to the team for making this possible, and thanks for watching.
Okay. So, Sergeant Paradise was saying this was a test that we did. We collaborated with PMEL. We were able to use SIF funds to get some of these tires. These tires that we used are manufactured by Continental, and they're material handling tires, and they are direct replacement for the tires that are installed on age. Eventually, we would like to be able to install these on the heavier pieces of equipment like Dash 86s. And the reason why is because they make things a lot easier to push. These carts weigh about 7,000 pounds a piece. And anyone that worked on the flight line and had to push these things around or heavier pieces of equipment knows that it's not easy, and it's a death by 1,000 cuts as you go throughout your day grinding on the flight line. As you'll about to see here, this is a dynamometer that PMEL used, and that right there was with the new tires. When we tested it with the tires that are actually installed right now, it took over 250 pounds of lateral force to crack the thing free. One person, that's extremely hard. And technically you're not supposed to do that, but in the sphere of sortie generation, things happen. People do take it upon themselves to do that from time to time. When the ones that we tested, the Continentals, the low rolling resistance tires, cut that by 50% in half. Now, that is quite a large number. One thing that I want to point out right away is that there's a difference between low rolling resistance tires and solid tires. The ones that we did use are solid tires, meaning they don't use air. But the sole design aspect of low rolling resistance tires is exactly that, having a low resistance coefficient. They just happen to be solid tires at the same time. During this field testing, we put a QR code with a little survey on the cart, and the people that did push it, they took the survey, and 90% of them loved it. 100% said they would like to see these tires installed fleet wide. Now, this is just for the aircraft maintainers, crew chiefs, aircraft specialists and whatnot, on a heavy base, by the way. Age, of course, they caught wind of this. One of our team members is an Age mechanic, and they absolutely loved it because they're the ones who have an intimate relationship with these carts, pushing them around, not just maneuvering them to use them, but maneuvering them to maintain them. And then the airless aspect makes their lives a lot easier as well. Not having to service tires because the pneumatic tires are prone to leaking and going low, which takes Age mechanics time to have to service. And then not to mention a low tire makes it even harder to push. I'm going to go ahead and unshare this now. The low rolling resistance tires also have a longer service life because they're made from a more modern and robust rubber compound. Continental is cage coated. These tires are industry standard in other places like forklifts because they add to the usable charge life of electric forklifts or the regular propane forklifts. I've done a lot of research on the subject, and there is a lot of data within the trucking industry. EPA has almost made it mandatory that for trucking agencies to install low rolling resistance tires on their trucks to lower their energy consumption. Now, you have probably rode on low rolling resistance tires because they're also adopted within the sphere of vehicles. Most manufacturers install low rolling resistance tires on their larger SUVs and various sports cars to lower the MPG mileage rate sticker, which is good for them and then good for the consumer as well because, oh wow, this that mileage isn't as high as I thought it was going to be, right? Within that industry though, they call it an eco tire. They don't call it a low rolling resistance tire, but for all intents and purposes, it's basically synonymous. What we are looking at here are material handling tires. So what does this mean? This means less manpower to move equipment, less injuries. I've extracted some data on both of those. Instance, a 10% drop in rolling resistance will give you a 1% gain in fuel economy. Now, for us, we observed a 50% drop in rolling resistance, which is a 10% gain in fuel economy, which marginal gains may not seem like much by itself, but when you add it all up, that adds up to a pretty large number. For instance, with the bobtail, and I'm being generous here. So a 2022 bobtail Ford F-250, capacity 34 gallons, $33.51 gallon national average, and let's just say with a 3% gain of fuel economy, that's about $1,000 annually just for one bobtail. Add them all up, and this idea starts to spread out into other sectors because they make these tires in many different sizes. But eventually, we would like to see this installed, or have at least the option to install them on Age fleet wide.
Is there like an estimated initial cost or anything? I know that there's a huge variety right now and kind of touched on it, but like one specific fleet of equipment are you guys focusing on first before navigating outward? Like, not very familiar with age, but is there one tire that like accommodates multiple pieces of equipment that you could own in on? Okay.
Yes, there is one, and that's the size that we tried. In fact, the tires that we tested on that Dash 86 are currently being used on an aircraft engine change cart. So we just took them right off that Dash 86, put it on an engine change cart, which is very heavy, and maximize the agility of that piece. Now we've made that job 10 times easier for a maintainer to be able to maneuver that engine change cart out and do his job. I digress. That tire, when we purchased them through a local MRO, that was in euro, but $272.82 per tire. So if we were looking at just what I put in here as a arbitrary number, 200 power carts, we're looking at about $50,000.
Is it are these through a German company? Is it a US company?
They are Continental USA is all intents and purposes an American company, but we can purchase these through local MROs. Rarely do you purchase these directly from the manufacturer.
Okay. Awesome. So have you spoken to anybody like disposed with the support equipment?
Yes, Budget Paradise has done most of the work on that front. I have, after we did this testing, and we did a little more fine tweaking, IPCS to Hickam, and they've been carrying a lot of these new developments over there at Ramstein.
So
So-
with that, I can talk about that, Seth. We got some pushback, what are you doing? So we haven't quite reached out to SPO to engage to say, hey, we would like this to be a suitable sub. We've kind of gone a different route and we're using it where we can use it. Before we try to do engineering requests, and there's other concerns like, because these assets aren't tied to a base, they could be deployed. So there's a lot of different concerns that were brought up by the MAGCOM level age rep that are all valid. So it's not that we aren't advancing because it's not right, but we just want to make sure that this is a good opportunity for us to advertise, hey, this exists. The tires that are on equipment now have been there since the 60s, the same tires. There's new, advances in tires, commercial off the shelf, that the Air Force can at least look at, or DoD can test in their testing units. And this, I think, is a good door opener for DoD to say, hey, if we want to save money, we can look at new options as far as tires go. And with any innovation, obviously there's going to be naysayers and change agents. It's advancing, but this is a great opportunity for it to get seen by a lot of folks that have no idea these tires exist, and they are efficient and they're hitting a lot of the marks as far as the future.
Yeah, I think that hits it, and I think you're absolutely right. This will help kind of boost that recognition and just acknowledging that this stuff is out there. And then Wes, I saw your hand up before we go to Captain Rask.
Sure, appreciate it. I just wanted to go ahead and read off some of the things we put down for a previous proposal and a new idea that just dawned on me. One of the return on investments aspects was not just the initial cost or the improved mileage, but the lack of having to replace a set every single year. So one set lasts 7 years and does not develop the flat spots like your traditional tires do. So they may cost a little bit more upfront, but they last 7 times longer. And that per cart ended up in being a much higher life cycle cost. The new idea is, I don't think that it has been talked through yet, but in a contested environment, knowing there's going to be trash and crap on the runway, that might be something to consider from an expeditionary perspective, is having the puncture resistant benefits of a low roll tire when you're trying to navigate any kind of debris and sharp objects on the road or airfield.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Captain Rask.
Yeah, so question I have as far as installing these and mounting them, that kind of thing, is it the same as a regular tire? Is this something that age shops are going to be able to do and this just makes their jobs a lot easier? Or is this something where it's going to require a little bit more, some special equipment, that kind of thing?
Morning, sir. This tire fits on exactly the same way as the original tires do, without a couple of steps, since it is tubeless. The rims that most of this age utilizes is a split rim type. So they just pull the rim apart like a little like it's like taking apart a sandwich. Put the tire in there, put the rim back together, throw the bolts on. I was speaking with one of our team members, age mechanic, Sergeant Muling. He said it when they replaced or when they retrofitted the cart that was in the video, it took them almost 45 minutes, which is about normal.
Okay, awesome. And then just really quick, again, I think you guys already hit on it, but it is like your plan to like replace all of your age that's at Ramstein right now with these tires, or to improve them with that and then use it as a test case? Or are you trying to go straight to the SPO and say, hey, you need to change this first?
Ramstein would be a great start. Hickam is interested as well. I think it would be wise to get perform a similar test as what we did out there, just to kind of to showcase the technology here, or get some more people talking with Aether Sprint. But eventually, yes, a TO change would be great. Having the option to install these, because in some cases it might still be smarter to leave the old tires on there. But in many cases, I would say most cases, the low rolling resistance airless tires would be the smart choice. Again, in a contested environment, and especially at locations like fighter bases, where an age mechanic will be doing 100 runs, constantly maneuvering these pieces around the chessboard of the flight line. Constant sortie generation, time is life, environment, and global strike as well. So it would be a really good option for a lot of these locations, and including WRM, or readiness material, where you have two mechanics maintaining a fleet of 50 power carts by themselves, and they've got to push all this stuff around, and the tires are constantly going flat. And finally, I wanted to mention, I almost forgot, Geilenkirchen, the NATO base, is using solid airless tires. Now, I'm not sure, I do not know if they are purpose low rolling resistance tires, but the solid construction does lower the rolling resistance.
All right, if we're good here, we can close it. We're about to hit the hour. I appreciate you guys jumping on super late, and thank you again for the feedback. We'll try to make sure all teams have some kind of say in what times they're joining. But I appreciate you guys jumping on. I think all of this is valuable, and we'll make sure it's posted on the Tesseract Teams channel as well as in our Slack. And if you don't have access to our Slack, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the link to climb over. I put some notes in the Slack as well, just a highlight, and if you guys want to jump on and and tag anything else, feel free. But I appreciate you guys all, and I'll stay on for a little bit if there's any additional questions. But I think we can cut it here. Cool.